Michael Douglas is regarded as Hollywood royalty. His dad, Kirk Douglas, was one of the biggest stars of the 40s and 50s, so you could say that acting is in his blood. Early on, the pair shared a strained relationship. After seeing Michael act in a college production, Kirk reportedly told his son not to pursue an acting career. But Michael persevered, completing a theatre degree and going on to step out from under his father's shadow and become a star in his own right. But Michael does admit having a famous dad did have its benefits.
It's knowing how to conduct yourself in your life. You're not as insecure. We all have insecurities, but you've seen your parents and their insecurities and their friends, so you recognize this is a kind of craft/business, as opposed to somebody coming to Hollywood and receiving some success, not knowing how to conduct themselves. You have a sense of how to conduct yourself, being second generation.
Beginning his career in off-Broadway and regional theatre, Douglas quickly progressed to small film and TV roles. But it was the 70s TV cop drama, The Streets of San Francisco, that really put him on the map, with the role of Inspector Steve Keller winning him 3 Emmys. He decided to leave the show to co-produce One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The move proved very successful, with the film winning the Best Picture Oscar.
I started off, acting. Then, out of my love for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I really just tried. I never thought about being a producer before, and just really wanted to see that movie made. Never thought about producing. Then that was such a success that I decided, well, maybe I can produce some more and also can get a part for myself too.
While he'd beaten his famous father to an Oscar win, it had been for producing. So now Michael was determined to focus on his acting career and prove his worth on the big screen.
Well, I think it's a breakthrough as an actor. I think after winning the Oscar for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in 1975, and then doing the China Syndrome in '78, my forte, or I was better known as a producer, and my acting was okay, but never showed the, I guess, the kind of dynamism that my father had in his career.
Keen to take audiences on an adventure, Douglas was perfect as the cocky yet charming adventurer Jack Colton in Romancing the Stone and its sequel, The Jewel of the Nile. The films proved his box office potential and showed he could deliver a one-liner with the best of them. While the hijinks might have looked like fun, he found starring in an adventure flick harder than he'd expected.
Romancing and Jewel of the Nile were 2 of the toughest production shoots I've ever had.
1987 was a huge year for Michael Douglas. Now a leading man, he delivered 2 of the most memorable performances of his career. In Fatal Attraction, he played a cheating husband who gets more than he bargained for from a bunny boiler. And he won the Best Actor Oscar for his portrayal of the ruthless Gordon Gekko in Oliver Stone's Wall Street.
Well, first of all, I always was looking to play that type of part, a villain or a so-called bad guy, but you'd be surprised what images directors or producers have as far as what the limitations or extents of an actor are. So Oliver Stone, I really did not know before this picture. I'd met him briefly once, so I'm really deeply grateful. I've always tried to say this, that he, not only as a director, but I had the courage to cast me with no previous background of work to play this type of part.
Douglas's smarmy and arrogant portrayal of Gekko epitomises the excess of the 80s. His greed is good spiel has gone on to become a part of pop culture.
It was beautifully written. It was theatrical, almost in its genre. Every scene was a whole complete piece. It had nuances, a wide range of nuances, and it just forced you probably to do a lot more homework and preparation. Both research and just learning your lines. I don't even know, David, but I had a few lines in the picture, It's not like most parts, you roll in and kind of get a feeling for the part. And he had a very distinct rhythm in the style that Oliver and Stanley wrote the piece, which I try to catch, so.
Now a winner of both an acting and producing Oscar, which does he prefer?
It's been a wonderful, crazy 20 years from winning the Oscar as a producer and people asking me, why do you act? Why don't you produce? Why are you acting? And explaining, well, I love acting. I really want to act.
And now, of course, after winning the Oscar for acting, they say, why are you producing? Why are you involved in producing?
Yeah.
But I like both parts of the business. I love the joy, the childlike innocence, the joy of acting. And I've also enjoyed the responsibilities of being an adult with producing.
During his career, Michael has been nominated for an Oscar only twice, yet both times he's won. It all seems too easy. So does he take the prize seriously?
The thing about Oscars is really just to be associated with those kind of movies. I never take it seriously as far as my individual performance, but to be surrounded with a good script and good directors, it's the way you want to kind of conduct your career.
Throughout the 90s, Douglas continued to deliver strong performances, surprising audiences with his versatility, easily jumping from comedy in The American President to drama in Falling Down to thrillers like Basic Instinct. With the explicit nature of Basic Instinct, rumours started flying that perhaps Douglas was drawing from real-life experience for the role. But as a seasoned celebrity, he's learnt to ignore the bad press and tabloid gossip.
Well, I had many stories pertaining to the fact that 2 years ago I went to alcohol rehabilitation center for 30 days and found it a very worthwhile experience. I learned a lot. The fact that I had made Fatal Attraction and Basic Instinct, there were innuendos of sexual addiction in the tabloids, which was not true at all. But again, sex sells. It always has. And I deal with it by ignoring it and conducting away my life and trying to protect my family, my wife and my son, who I don't feel need to be influenced or brought in by people trying to sell newspapers or magazines and don't have their interest at stake.
In 1998, Michael met Catherine Zeta-Jones, who he'd become infatuated with since seeing her in The Mask of Zorro. After 10 minutes of meeting her, he reportedly told her he wanted to father her children. Quite scandalous, considering at the time he was still married to his first wife, Deandra. He later left his wife of 23 years to be with Catherine, and they now have 2 children together.
I met Catherine in September of '98 at the Deauville Film Festival, and then asked her to marry me on New Year's Eve, December 31st, '99, and we got married, had a baby, made a few movies. So it's been, personally, it's been a wonderful time.
Douglas enjoys the challenge of playing a variety of different characters and loves to keep audiences guessing.
What you try to do with acting, I think, as an actor, is you continually try to express yourself and stretch yourself. And you try to keep doing different things to challenge yourself. Not only is it rewarding for you as a person, but also for audiences, they don't know what to expect.
It Runs in the Family gave Michael the chance to fulfill a lifelong dream, to star in a film with his dad.
Well, my father, Kirk and I have been trying over 20 years now, I think, or at least 15, 16 years to do a picture together. We've just sort of for posterity and the fact that we both are actors, and we thought it'd be a nice idea initially, and then my father had his helicopter crash when he was 70, and then it was followed by a pacemaker operation, and then he had his stroke, and then 9/11 happened. So the desire to bond and do a picture, with my dad took on sort of much more important meanings.
And knowing they'd had a strained relationship in the past, how did Kirk find working with his son?
It's difficult working with my son, Michael, because he was also the producer, so he was the boss. I'm used to being a boss, but now he's the boss. And also, what was aggravating, he was always on time. He always knew his business. So he set a high standard that was hard to follow.
Although Michael has starred mostly in thrillers and dramas, it's in fact comedic roles he loves most.
The truth be told, I'll do anything for a laugh. That when you're basically a dramatic actor and you have a chance from time and again, I mean, for me, my career's just been The War of the Roses, The American President, and now Wonder Boys. There's a great satisfaction in sitting in an audience and seeing an audience laugh.
Tragically, Douglas recently discovered a tumour in his throat and is currently undergoing radiation and chemotherapy treatment. The good news is, doctors expect him to make a full recovery, so hopefully he'll be back on his feet in no time. And for all you Gordon Gekko fans, he's back. Michael's next project will reveal what happens to Gekko in Wall Street Money Never Sleeps.
He's had a lot of time to think, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I thought it would be fun, you know, we both felt it was not going to accomplish anything if Gordon Gekko started off looking all hair swapped back and his thing, you know, what are we going to do? But realistically, we had a chance to show a guy stripped from a 5-year appeal, 8 years in jail, stripped, no money, cannot trade, lost that son in a drug overdose, daughter hates him. So I said, that's a good arc.
Michael Douglas is a formidable talent. He successfully stepped out of the shadow of his famous father to become an Oscar-winning actor and producer. From Fatal Attraction to Wall Street, his unforgettable performances are regarded as some of the greatest in cinematic history. Stay tuned to Star Picks for all of the movies you know and the actors you love. Broadcasting glorious high definition with 5.1 surround sound where available. For more of the best in entertainment news, check out your Movie Network channels. It's altogether better, on screen and at mnc.tv.